involved in our SSE program at the center. And he, for years, his children have gone through SSE, and he has gone through SSE with the children and played a large role in the program at our center. So Rakesh, today, please share with us whatever your story is with Swami.
Sure. Sai Ram. So I was initially asked about speaking, and I really didn't feel that I had anything to share. But taking a step back, I have small clippets of examples where Swami and I have connected in so many small but very meaningful and powerful ways along the time that I have actually known about Swami. At that between 16 and 18 years old is when I heard about Swami for the first time. Believe it or not, what happened was my mom found out about a home around the corner from us. It was a strip of homes that had elderly living there with some assisted living. And this old lady, she was British, white, and very senior, living on her own. And she had a very small place with 2 rooms. And in her main room, she had Swami's picture. And Mom found out that there is Baba coming there and performing different kind of miracles there. And so we went, and I was open-minded. My brother went too, and my sister. And so the 4 of us went, and there was a mantle and Swami's picture with his red robe, half posed, with his hand blessing. And I noticed that there was a channel at the bottom of the picture, and clear liquid coming out from his brow, and channeled into this vessel. Right? And he had bright green eyes, and it captivated me. I mean, it's like time stood still at that time, and I couldn't take my eyes off the photo. Right. So that was my sort of, you can say, entry card or a welcome card from Baba. Life moved on, and in that, between the period of 16 and early 20s, that question about what do you want to be when you grow up came, right? And at that time I had some issues with, putting myself out there, right, in front of large crowds especially. And but inwardly I would know that I could understand the challenge and take that opportunity on and so on, but to take those steps, it'd take me a long time. Since I saw Swami for the first time, he kept on coming in my dreams. So I started seeing him in my dreams, and he would smile initially, not say anything. And once he came into my dream, and we were in the middle of some big, vast land, right? There was a yagnashala type building. There were people sitting around the edge, and there was a yagna going on, and I entered the yagnashala and sat. As soon as I sat, people took offense in this dream, and then as I was getting up, I saw Baba, and I had tearing eyes, didn't know if I did something wrong, and I recognized Baba because I initially saw him in this elderly lady's house. And he gave me the biggest hug. And if you ever felt a hug from someone that, you felt the world for, time stood still. And I lost all motion in my body. And when he gave me the hug, he looked at me, he held his hands in mine, and he said, all I want you to do is to have as much faith in yourself as I have in you.
Oh, beautiful.
That's all he said. He smiled, and the next thing I do is wake up. And when I wake up from a Swami dream, all I can smell is vibhuti as soon as I open my eyes. I'll never forget it. So through that, he taught me about having faith in myself, and that experience then carries me over. And that question around what do I want to be when I grow up, I go from wanting to be something to just wanting to be really good at one thing, right? So this idea about perfecting comes in, and I'm taking my first steps towards my job, and Swami is now coming in my dreams more and more, and my relationship with Swami is changing. Then what happens is the transition goes from faith, love to faith, and then I get a chance to go to the US, right? And the presence of Swami is then carrying on. And so the very first place I go to the US is in Chotodada's home, Sudaba's home, and of course Swami's everywhere.
Yes.
And I'm like, Baba, this is something that's going to not be some part of my life, but is going to be my life, right? And I can really feel that now, especially when I enter the Atlanta Sai Center for the first time. And some of those is interesting because he knows everyone's wants, and he may not answer you right away. And so I felt that Swami was beginning to answer some of my wants. And for example, through the children, as they enter the SSE program, Swami gets me into the SSE program as a teacher. And so I'm learning about Swami. I would feel that I was entering the classroom knowing less about Swami than the child that I was teaching. And I'm getting to learn more, and I'm more interested in learning about Swami from the students than they are, I felt, learning about Swami from me. So this interplay really was happening nicely. And it went from group 1 to 2 to 3, and we were having a lot of fun, right? And I was really getting to experience Swami in many different ways. So this question about what you want to be when you grow up really then transitioned from wanting to be the best at something to wanting to be good, right? And I felt that change in me. And it's interesting because now the kind of challenges that are coming up aren't the ones that are trying to hone in on something as a skill or something, but it's more, what do you do when you're faced with such difficulty or thrown into something, and how do you react to it? It's that kind of a challenge. And I can feel Swami in that as well. And so that goes on, and is going on right now. So I feel that once I understand about being good, I think that there's going to become a time where I just want to be, right? And I feel that life is taking me that way. I don't know if it's my age talking or what, but I feel that. Now, I talked a little bit about how Swami listens and answers, right? So one thing that was happening is, of course, with SSE teacher, and then eventually when it came time for, when our centers elect officers, a little bit from the time when one of the elections was happening, I'm getting this overwhelming feeling of Swami wanting me to go in a direction. I think when Swami wants to carry out his will, something takes over, and it happens. And I found myself being the SSC coordinator. Can't help but feel that he's answering an old wish when I felt that I would like to head up a school. I didn't really think about it and connect it that way, but this is just something I'm thinking that has actually been answered. And I'm very blessed to have gone through that experience. We went through a lot of different things as the officer team at that time, and I feel that every time that I meaningfully connect with Swami, something at the end of it is going to transform and change me. Right? So the answer to my question, for example, what do I want to be as I grow up, that then comes a little bit more clearer. And so it's the everyday things that Swami hears. It's the everyday simple acts that Swami is listening to that is totally the thing that ends up forming your journey. And in my experience, I can't wait for how Swami and my